By now, you've probably seen quite a few videos about San Antonio, but have you seen very many videos about the suburbs of San Antonio? I know I've got a couple out there, but this is going to go all encompassing of the top 9 suburbs of the great city of San Antonio. Howdy guys, this is Michael McCall, your real estate agent here in San Antonio, Texas, and today we are going to go all into the top 9 suburbs of this great city of San Antonio. Now, this is not my personal list, so this is a list that I got from niche.com, and I'm putting a little bit of spin on it. So niche.com, whenever I was looking through their list, they had a lot of little neighborhoods that I wouldn't necessarily classify as suburbs. So what we're going to focus on here today is the top 9 ranked suburbs that are cities and towns outside of the city limits of San Antonio. So we're not going to include like the Alamo Heights, Windcrest, the Leon Valleys that would very likely have been in this list. But we're going to focus on outside of the city limits, outside suburbs of the city of San Antonio. So niche.com takes into account schools, diversity, housing prices, things to do, safety, and also how good it is for families. So we'll focus on those things, but I'm also going to give you my personal experiences with each of these cities. I'll give you a little story, a little background on what my experiences have been from a local, having grown up here and been to each of these cities numerous times throughout my life, whether it be for baseball games when I was growing up, whether it be for kids events, you know, right now as a dad, or whether it's just been family outings. I'll give you a little bit of rundown on each of these cities from my personal perspective. Now, guys, before we get into all of this, I want to remind you guys and let you know that this channel is all about living in San Antonio, Texas, right? That's the name of the channel. We are going to go into in-depth about anything and everything that you can think of for living in San Antonio and the surrounding areas and the suburbs like we're going to talk about today. So if you have any interest at all in learning more about San Antonio and get to know more about this great city, hit that little subscribe button and hit that little bell next to it also so that you can always be notified when I'm posting new videos. Also, if you wouldn't mind, it would really help me out. Hit that like button on this video and then comment what you think. Comment what you think about this video, comment what you would like to see in the future, and I'll be sure to put it on my list of future videos. And then also, of course, guys, I am a real estate agent here in San Antonio. If you have any questions whatsoever, if you need any help at all, I get reach outs and calls and text messages every single day from people just like you that are looking to move here. So please don't hesitate to text me, call me, email me. I will get back to you guys as soon as I can and help you guys out with whatever it is that you need in regards to this great city of San Antonio, Texas. Now, without further ado, let's get into the top 9 suburbs of San Antonio, Texas. So like I mentioned, guys, niche.com has put together this big list and it had a whole bunch of different little towns and suburbs and neighborhoods on there. So I put together this list. This is the top 9 suburbs that are towns and cities outside the city limits of San Antonio. So these are true suburbs. These aren't small little neighborhoods that Niche put on there. So number 9 is Canyon Lake. So Canyon Lake is probably the biggest lake, not probably, Canyon Lake is the biggest lake around here in San Antonio. There's Medina Lake out to the west. There's Lake McQueeney, Lake Dunlap, Lake Placid over between New Braunfels and Seguin on the Guadalupe River, but those are more river life activities, not really lake life activities over there. So Canyon Lake is a huge public lake. I want to say it's 14,000 or 8,000. I can't remember exactly. I think it's 8,000 acres. It's huge. It's public access. When you're on the lake, it's gorgeous because you get to see the hills everywhere. But not only that it has the lake life, it has some pretty good schools too. It's in Comal ISD. Comal ISD is rated a 92 out of 100. And Canyon Lake High School is ranked an 88 out of 100. So really good ratings. All the schools in this area, including the elementary schools and middle schools, are all in that B range. So you don't have any super low ranking schools. Comal ISD is just one of the top school districts in this area in general. So you pretty much have good schools across the board when it comes to Comal ISD. Population of Canyon Lake is a little bit over 25,000. And when it comes to housing, it's actually a lot more affordable than some of these other places. So the median house price in Canyon Lake, granted, this is a lot of lake houses, right? The median price here is $315,000. The median rent is actually $1,360 a month. So it's very affordable when it comes to renting. My personal experience, so I actually lived in Bolverde and I currently live just south of Canyon Lake. It's actually a New Braunfels address between really Bolverde and New Braunfels. Canyon Lake is an area that I've spent a lot of time at. I've gone fishing on Canyon Lake. My dad has a boat, so we've taken the boat out to Canyon Lake several times to just go anchor it out in the middle of the water and jump out and swim for the afternoon, have lunch and enjoy some drinks with the family and just enjoy the sun and the beautiful blue-green water that Canyon Lake has. Canyon Lake is fed by the Guadalupe River, so it has extremely clear water. Like I said, whenever it's really in the middle of the hill country, so you have these hills that kind of surround the lake, and so it makes for some outstanding views when you're out there. And it's just a fun place to just drive through too. Canyon Lake has like I said, all these hills and everything. You can drive through some of these really nice neighborhoods and just see some of the views that some of these enormous houses have up there. And it's just a really great place to visit. And whenever you're moving here, if you're looking to live in a place that's got the true hill country vibe, plus lake views in a lot of places, Canyon Lake is a good option. Number 8 is Bolverde. So Bolverde is a small little town. It's actually called the front porch of the Texas Hill Country. It's northeast of San Antonio. So if you take 281 to go north, like you're going up towards Johnson City, you hit Bolverde. Bolverde is about 15 minutes from town. Its population is only right about 5,000, but most of the people live outside of the city limits of Bolverde itself whenever they live in that area. You also have Spring Branch, which kind of butts up next to Bolverde. So really Spring Branch, Bolverde are kind of the same area. And then that Spring Branch feeds into Canyon Lake. So it's real close to that Canyon Lake area also. Bolverde is great because it's got a very small town feel. Like I said, only 5,000 people. It's got a small little downtown that has all these little festivals all the time. They have a Christmas festival every year. They have a couple other different shows that go on every year. So there's all those types of things that you can go enjoy. There's also a lot of neighborhoods. So D.R. Horton just put in, or they're working on putting in, and they have quite a few houses in Copper Canyon. Johnson Ranch is a big neighborhood. You have River Crossing. You also have the new kind of a luxury community where it's 1+ acre lots and Bell Oaks. That's where the 2021 Parade of Homes for the San Antonio area was. And Bolverde is just one of those places that just feels very homey. H-E-B is right there in the middle of town. There's a Home Depot. There's a Tractor Supply, a couple little donut shops. There's a Shipley's. You got the Walmart. So you got everything you need right there. You also have a couple really good restaurants that are some of my personal favorites. The Branch and then Antler Cafe are two places that me and my wife and my kids go to constantly. We actually live very close to Bolverde right now, so it's a pretty easy jump for us. The schools here, like I said, in Canyon Lake, it's Comelt ISD here as well, 92 out of 100 rating, and basically any and every school for the public school system here in Bolverde is ranked is rated between an 89 and a 96. So very highly rated schools. That's from elementary all the way up to high school. Smithson Valley High School is one of the most prestigious and most desirable high schools to be at. Very good hill country views all around here, and being close to Canyon Lake, it's very easy to just jump up there, just drive a quick 20-minute drive up to Canyon Lake and go enjoy the lake for the weekend. It's also very close to Stone Oak. It's just probably a 20-30-minute drive down to Stone Oak for most places, maybe even less if you're on the south side of Bolverde. All you have to do is jump on 281 and head down and you're right at Stone Oak. And then for your commutes, it's the same thing. So being right there at Stone Oak, it's on the northeast side. To get downtown, you're probably looking at in the morning, depending on when you leave, you're looking at around 30 to 40 minutes or so. That's if traffic is bad. If it's easy traffic, it'll be a quick drive for you. When it comes to housing here, your median price range here for purchasing a house is about $334. Now, keep in mind, these all may sound higher than what I had talked about in the past with the mid 200s. Price points for houses. Well, this COVID market with 2021, I mean, everybody knows about this real estate market right now, has just caused everything to increase dramatically. San Antonio overall has increased 10 to 12% over the last year. And in some cases, it's increased about 5 to 6% here within just the last few months. It's just insane. So $334 is kind of your median price range here. Your median rent here is about $2,000 a month also. So a little bit higher on the price range, but that house also has to do with it being in a very desirable location with great views, great schools, and it's also not too far from town. Number 7 is the great little town of Boerne. So Boerne is probably one of the most desirable places to move to in the San Antonio area. Also for extremely good reason. Boerne ISD is ranked 94 out of 100. All these rankings also are coming from techschools.gov, so if you wanted to kind of go look for yourself, you can go do that. Boerne is the highest rated school district in the San Antonio area. Every school here is 85 or above. There's some elementary schools, I think Fair Oaks Ranch Elementary School is in the high 90s. There's a ton of good things to do in Boerne. Downtown Boerne is a great little spot. If you're driving downtown, that's one of my favorite things to do is whenever I'm driving through an area, you can really get the feel for the area. You get that in green over in New Braunfels, which I'll talk about here in a little bit, but downtown Boerne has a very similar feel. There's so much going on just on that little main street strip. All these little shops, little wineries, little breweries, little restaurants, hometown restaurants, all these festivals, the Dickens on Main's on Christmas time. They light that place up with Christmas lights every year. It's it just has a whole different feel. It's about as perfect of a little town as you can get here in Texas. I mean, it's what you think of when you think of a Texas hill country town. The views are outstanding. Hill country views everywhere you go. Wildlife everywhere. The Cibolo Creek Park right there on River Road, right there close to downtown. I mean, there's people there constantly feeding the ducks, fishing, just sitting there enjoying a picnic with the family. It's a great spot. Now, with that, Boerne is a little bit higher price when it comes to housing. Your median price point for a house is about $445,000, and with that, your rents are a little bit higher as well, with the median rent being $2,150. Now, with this being a small little town, its population is right about 16,000, and it's been growing, trust me. The development in Boerne is very minimal. They don't just let a whole bunch of big developers come in and just explode the town, which I personally really like. There's definitely these little developments, especially with the new construction here all throughout town. Balcones Creek is just south of town, kind of headed towards San Antonio. You have Esperanza, which is really a luxury community. I mean, it houses up into the $1 million range in Esperanza, but all the way down into like the upper, or probably low 400s, maybe mid 400s right now. Used to be in the upper 300s, but like I said about this real estate market. The other good thing about Boerne is that there is a lot of stuff to do. Like I mentioned with downtown, you also have a couple of caves that you can go check out. You have Cascade Caverns and you have Cave Without a Name. You also have Boerne Lake City Park. And then on top of that, it's really not that bad of a drive to get to San Antonio. It's a little bit farther than Bolverde. You have to jump on I-10 and head down into San Antonio. But they just recently finished a very, very good long construction project on I-10 to go down in San Antonio. The hub lane's open. Whenever I've driven it here within the last few months, traffic has been so much nicer than what it has been in the past. Right now, to get to downtown Boerne, if you go to map it, I think it's right at about 30 to 40 minutes. So it's a very easy drive. You can go straight down into San Antonio, even though Boerne doesn't have all the big shops. They have the H-E-B and Walmarts, all that stuff. But if you want to get to like the Chick-fil-A's and all the big shops and malls like you have at Lock and Terra and the Rim, probably a 10-15 minute drive for you. That's it. It's a very easy drive to get down there, get to the Bass Pro Shops, get to the Palladium Theater, Lock and Terra Mall, everything right there on the northwest side, right there at the Rim. So it's a great all-around spot. Coming in at number 6 is going to surprise a lot of people. Number 6 is New Braunfels, Texas. So New Braunfels may be the most popular, most well-known suburb of San Antonio. It is right on the northeast side. It's probably about 20 minutes or so from San Antonio. It's kind of on the way to Austin. It's right there on 35. So a lot of people that live in New Braunfels don't always necessarily commute to San Antonio. They will actually live in New Braunfels and commute quite a ways to Austin. It's in a very good location for that. It's right there on I-35, so you just hop on the highway, go one direction, get San Antonio, and the other direction, get to Austin. It's not a huge town yet, but I can remember, like I said, I grew up around here. I can remember the days whenever New Braunfels had less than 50,000 people in it. Now, Niche says that there is about 80,000 people. I can guarantee you there's over 100,000 people in New Braunfels right now. There has been so much growth going on in New Braunfels just within the last few years. It is just insane. It's for good reason. It's an extremely amazing town. I mean, you have Green, which is historic in its own right, and could probably be on this list by itself. It's really within New Braunfels, so it's not its own little city, so that's why we're not including it. But Green is so much going on. It has its own little neighborhoods in there. Green Hall, where some of the best in country music have played. You have the river right there where you float to the river. You have Green River Grill. You have Adobe Verde. You have all the shops like General Store right there. I mean, I've done a couple videos on New Braunfels, so you can go check those out to see a little bit more about it. But Green is a great spot. Also, New Braunfels downtown is very underrated. Green gets a lot of attention, whereas downtown has probably just as much going for it as Green does. Downtown has all these little shops. It's a strip. I mean, you come into downtown from, outside of town, you hit the roundabout, you go around the big pavilion, you see the courthouse right there. You can go to all the little bars like Poor House, and you have Two Tarts right there, which Two Tarts is actually where I personally got, or not me, but my wife got our wedding cake made whenever we got married. So we have a lot of history in New Braunfels, especially. We spent a lot of time growing up in New Braunfels. Tubing the Rivers is probably one of the biggest tourist attractions. New Braunfels has really grown to be a very touristy town, so that is a big negative for it. You have a lot of traffic, a lot of people coming in from out of town over the summer especially, so the locals tend to get annoyed by it, just to be completely honest with you. All the tubers, just a couple weeks ago, there was a big flood on Memorial Day weekend, and a lot of the locals were actually pretty happy about it because it flooded the river. And when I say flooded, it was high. It wasn't like out of the banks flooding the whole town or anything like that, but flooded the river enough to where the tubers couldn't go out. So it was this big joke going around town that that the rain saved the locals for the day. And with growth, of course, comes increased housing prices. New Braunfels housing prices have been on the rise quite a bit. There's a ton of new construction going on. You can find a lot of new builds. The median price right now is $307,500. In my personal opinion, it's going to be hard to find a house for $300,000 right now. The market's so minimal. There's so many people buying houses in New Braunfels that typically those lower price, under median price point, get picked up immediately. Lots of new construction available. I have a couple that's looking for a new construction house right now in New Braunfels. They're looking at around the $400,000 price range. I got a couple people that are looking and they're looking in that $300,000 to $350,000 price range, but it's just difficult right now. So you got to keep that in mind with New Braunfels. It's so desirable that it's hard to find houses. Your median rent is actually pretty decent here. Your median rent is about $1,550. Now this is all for houses. It's not talking about apartments, so keep that in mind too, guys. When it comes to schools, you have two separate school districts here. You have New Braunfels ISD, and then you also have Comau ISD. Kind of confusing to me. New Braunfels ISD is New Braunfels High School and the elementary schools and middle schools that go with that. Comau ISD, like I mentioned, Smithson Valley, which is just a little ways up the road towards Bolverde. You have Canyon High School, which is actually south of New Braunfels. So Canyon High School is part of Comau ISD, and there is also talks of new schools being put up as well. It's a big master plan development going between basically just on the northeast side of New Braunfels going towards San Marcos. It's going to have a new high school built in it eventually, and that's not within the next few years, but it will be coming. It's already been approved and development is getting ready to get started. Number 5 is Schertz. So Schertz is on the northeast corner of San Antonio. Schertz is in an area that basically encompasses Schertz, Cibolo, Universal City, Selma, Live Oak. I mean, they're all kind of right there on top of each other. It's very hard to tell one from the other when you're going through it if you don't live there. The locals there will tell you exactly where each area is. Schertz is the largest little town within that little clump of towns. Schertz has about 41,000 people as population. Median price there is a lot more affordable in this area compared to some of the other areas we've just talked about. Median price in Schertz is $270,000. You have a lot of new developments as well, so you have a lot of newer houses, but it is a lot of the quote-unquote cookie-cutter neighborhoods with a few of the more established neighborhoods kind of scattered in there as well. Schertz is a great spot. It has really good schools. The school district here is Schertz, Cibolo, Universal City, ISD, so it's all 3 in 1. It's rated an 89 out of 100. Most of the schools here are in that C to B range for the most part. You have a couple A's scattered here and there, and then you have, I think, 1 or 2 D's in there. So school district overall is good. I mean, and don't let those ratings deter you. I mean, there's a ton of people that specifically go just specifically for Schertz because they want to be in that school district. So these ratings are just numbers for you guys to have a general idea, do your own research, and kind of figure out what exactly is most important to you when it comes to schools. Military is actually one of the biggest drivers to Schertz. Randolph Air Force Base is right there, basically in Universal City, which is right next to Schertz. You also have Fort Sam Houston, which is a very close drive to Schertz. So Schertz, Cibolo, Universal City, all that has a very big military presence. The rents here are a little bit higher. I want to say it's probably because of the military for the most part, but the median rent here is about $1,650. Like I mentioned, Schertz is right there on the corner of San Antonio, so it takes no time at all to get into town. You're basically on the edge of San Antonio, so to get downtown, you have to deal with rush hour traffic. You're probably looking at 20-30 minutes max. Number 4 is the great city of Helotus. So pretty much opposite of Schertz, what we just talked about. Helotus is on the northwest corner of San Antonio, right there on the corner of town. It's basically hits Bandera Road and 1604, right where that intersection is. That's where Helotus is. Helotus is one of the coolest towns in my opinion because it is got tons of crazy good hill country views. So right there in town, you can't really tell, but as soon as you get out of town, you get into these sprawling hill country views. You can go out to Government Canyon State Park. You can go out to Medina Lake. Medina Lake is a smaller lake than Canyon Lake, but still has everything that you need there as well. The one downside about Medina Lake that I can tell you is that having dealt with San Antonio and dealt with Texas, we do have droughts that come through periodically where we don't get rain for long periods of time, and Medina Lake does have a tendency to have its water level drop quite a bit. So there are times where you can't really access Medina Lake that easily. Doesn't take away from the fact that it's there and it's got all the benefits. Right now, with all the rain we've been having lately, It's high, it's full, it's ready to go. Government Canyon State Park is really cool. It's got these areas that I personally haven't been to, but I've talked to my wife about it constantly, about wanting to go do it. But they have dinosaur tracks where you can go and hike out there and you can see these fossilized dinosaur tracks, which is pretty neat. Helotus is a great outdoor town because of that. I also have Floor Country Store, which is right there. I've been to several concerts there. William Clark Green was the most recent one that I can remember that I went to there. It was a few years ago, actually. It's been, once you get kids, it's kind of hard to just go out and go to these country concerts like we're used to doing. But Helotus is great. It's at median price point here. Housing is a little bit more expensive. It's $364,000, and your median rent is about $1,800. The main thing is just the schools are so good too here. When you're looking at the map at techschools.gov, the entire Helotus area, every single school in this area has an A rating. That is very rare. I don't think I've found a specific little area, little town where that's been the case otherwise, other than Helotus. Other than Medina Lake, Government Canyon, and Floor Country Store, a couple other things to do here. You can go to the Helotus zip lines. Doing research for this video, I actually wasn't familiar with that, so learning things as well. So I'm gonna go try that out here pretty soon, probably. You also have Helotus Creek Winery, and another one of my favorites that I have frequented quite a bit is El Chaparral Mexican Restaurant. One of my favorite Mexican restaurants to go to, and it's packed every time. Every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I mean, just about every day of the week it is packed. So it's for good reason too. Number 3, right there by Schertz, is good old Cibolo, Texas. Cibolo is a very small town in feel, but population is a little bit higher, mostly because it's right there, clumped with all these other towns, Schertz and Universal City, and it's also right there by San Antonio. Population is about 28,000. Personally, it feels a lot smaller than that. It has just a small kind of isolated feel when you're in Cibolo. I mean, you go just a little ways down the road, you know, you're in Schertz and you get to San Antonio and then you get to Universal City. But when you're in Cibolo, to me, as I'm going through there and as I visited, it just feels like it's isolated from everyone else, and it feels quiet, it feels quaint, it feels like a small town, which is really cool being that close to San Antonio. You have all the same ratings, school ratings as you did for Schertz, 89 out of 100 for the school district. It's an extremely large school district too, I didn't mention that before. So Schertz, Cibolo, Universal City has over 15,000 students in it, so there is a lot of people in this school district. It has a couple high schools, has Clemens and Steele high schools, both very well known. Steele is probably one of the best football high schools here in the San Antonio area. They've been to state recently in the state football playoffs. I mean, they're always producing big time talent, so it's always fun to go watch too. Even if you don't have kids in high school or relatives, it's just fun to go watch high school football here in Texas. It's a whole different level of sportsmanship whenever you watch high school, and especially seeing the passion in the parents and the fans' eyes. Pricing in Cibolo is very similar to Schertz. Your median price point is about $280,000 for a house, and your median rent is about $1,700 a month. Pretty affordable for the most part. Like I said, same with Schertz, basically across the board. It is right there close to San Antonio, so easy commutes to get in town. Big military presence, but big thing for me is that it just feels like a smaller town. It doesn't feel like the big city that you get whenever you go just a few miles down the road into San Antonio. Number 2, and very close to Boerne, is Fair Oaks Ranch. So Fair Oaks Ranch is a city and community all to its own. I mean, it's completely different than everyone else. It's a country club style community. Most of the houses in this little city are half acre to an acre plus. Very great old houses that you can find some very good established. I mean, the whole neighborhood is extremely well established, right? All of these houses are a little bit older. You have some newer builds that are going in here and there, but very few, and it's very high priced too. This is the highest priced area in our list of top 9. The median price point here for purchasing a house is $556,000. Now, don't let that deter you though. There are some houses you can get here that are a little bit lower priced. Now, if you're looking to stay in the low to mid 300s, it's not gonna happen. You get into the upper 300s for a house here, you're probably going to be looking at a very, very small house or house that needs some work. Most everything here is going to be mid 400s and up, especially if you want something that's turnkey and you're not having to do any work coming in. But it is an area that is extremely desirable to be in. It's golf course community, like I mentioned. Fair Oaks Country Club is very prominent here. Golf course is great. I've played it a couple times. I am no good at golf, so I've just been on the course. I can't say that I've actually played it. I've lost so many freaking golf balls on this place. Fair Oaks Ranch is also a small little town. Its population is just under 10,000 people, so It's a nice, quaint little area as well. Another cool thing about this area is that you will see deer, and not just white-tailed deer, you will see axis deer running all over the place. And they're very prideful in their deer. You will see signs come up during the season whenever the fawns are being born. There'll be a big sign on the corners that say, hey, it's fawning season, watch out for the fawns, and the moms with their fawns, telling people to leave the fawns alone whenever they see them in their yards. The mama will be back to get them. It's really cool. And the same thing in November, December time frame, whenever the bucks start rutting and you see those big antler whitetail bucks and axis bucks start fighting, it's a sight to see. And as you're driving through in the mornings and the evenings when it's cooled off here in Texas, you will see quite a few deer just roaming about the yards. It's a lot of fun. I do that a lot myself. I'm a big outdoorsman, so I like going to see the white-tailed deer and the axis, and I'll just drive through town, through Fair Oaks whenever I'm in that area, just to see what kind of deer I can see. It's just a lot of fun. Fair Oaks is, like I said, it's just south of Boerne, so it's very close to Boerne, so you can go enjoy everything that Boerne has to offer. It's also Boerne ISD, so that's all the big pluses of Boerne ISD also. 94 out of 100 for rating. Fair Oaks Elementary is the highest rated elementary school in the Boerne ISD area, and it's even closer to San Antonio than Boerne is. So you're looking at probably 30 minutes to get downtown San Antonio, just short, maybe 10-minute drive to get to the Rim and to La Cantera. There's all kinds of benefits to being right there in Fair Oaks Ranch if you can afford it. And last, and certainly not least, number one on this list of the top 9 suburbs in San Antonio, Texas is Garden Ridge. Garden Ridge is right there across 35 from the Schertz, Cibolo, Universal City area. It's right on the corner of 1604 and 35. It is our smallest town on the list, but also one of our most expensive. So Garden Ridge has just under 4,000 people in its population. When you're driving through it, you barely tell it's a city. It looks more like a neighborhood. You'd be very surprised to know that it's completely its own city. It's got its own mayor and everything. Its average, or actually median price point here is about $548,000. The median rent, I don't really even like to say the median rent. Median rent's $2,900 a month. There's only 3 houses rented here in the last year. This is not an area where you can just go in and rent a house, unfortunately. There's really no apartments here either, so there's no big rental opportunities. It's an area where if you can find a house to purchase in here, it is an extremely great area, extremely close-knit community. It has quite a few people that are very, very close to the community itself, and they really just pride themselves in Garden Ridge and being this small little town that it is. A lot of older established neighborhoods, very little construction going on. There's a couple, I think over the last 10 years, there's been a couple new neighborhoods pop up, more of them, like custom home communities where you can buy a lot and build your house. There's also a brand new high school here though, and that has a lot to do with the growth up in Bolverde. If you're going up 3009 going towards 46, that's where you get to be pretty close to Smithson Valley High School. So they put a new high school right here in Garden Ridge, Davenport High School. Comal ISD, so it's got all the high-rated schools that Comal ISD has. Things to do, you're really close to town, so you have everything that you can do kind of in San Antonio and the northeast side. Schertz Cibolo has a big entertainment centers, Santikos and Evo, which is like a laser tag, movie theater, arcade games, all those types of things. You also have the Wildlife Ranch and the Natural Bridge Caverns just north of Garden Ridge. I personally have gone there 2 times this year with my son and my daughter and my wife. You get to drive through a Natural Bridge Wildlife Ranch, and you get to, literally they give you food and you will get to feed all kinds of animals, from zebras to Gemsbok to eland to axis. I mean, it's anything and everything that you can think of when it comes to Texas wildlife and exotics in Texas, which we're big for. Going around that ranch, and it's really cool just to see it. Natural Bridge Caverns I went to back in middle school that was the last time I went there. But I can still vividly remember that natural bridge, literally a bridge that goes across the opening to the cave, made of stone, and just going down into that cave and seeing all the things that Big Cave has to offer is really cool. I told my wife that I want to go back there here pretty soon too, and because I think my son, who's now getting to be 3 years old, would really like it as well. Well, guys, that concludes our list. I hope you guys enjoyed this top 9 suburbs of San Antonio, Texas. Again, guys, if you have any questions whatsoever, I am an open book. I get reach outs every single day, all day, every day, constantly. Sometimes it feels like of people just like you that are reaching out, asking questions about San Antonio or any of these surrounding suburbs. Please don't hesitate to reach out. If you have any more questions about some specifics about these suburbs that I didn't cover, my information's right here. So definitely reach out, give me a call, shoot me a message, send me an email. I'm here to help you guys as much as I possibly can. And then also don't forget, if you want to see any more videos about San Antonio or these suburbs, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell, and I will post tons more videos just like this one and like all these other videos on my channel so that you guys can learn more and more about this great city of San Antonio and its surrounding areas. Until next time, guys, I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good day.